The midday sun scorched the small frontier town of Red Creek, painting every wooden board and dusty street in harsh golden light. Rancher Jack Callahan was checking his horses near the outskirts when a desperate cry pierced the air, cutting through the hum of cicadas and distant chatter. He turned sharply, spotting a woman running down the street, her dress torn and dust-streaked, a tiny baby clutched to her chest. Take her, let her live," she screamed, her voice raw and trembling. Tears streaked her dirt-covered face, eyes wide with fear and desperation. Jack froze, instincts clashing with shock. The townsfolk stared, frozen themselves, some curious, others sneering. The mother collapsed in front of him, pressing the child into his arms. "Please, she's all I have. Just save her." The baby cooed softly, oblivious to the tension, tiny fingers grasping Jack's rough hand. Heat, dust, fear, and adrenaline mixed into a swirl that left Jack breathless. The townspeople murmured, some skeptical, others hostile. "That's the outlaw's kid," a man shouted. "Ain't nobody's responsibility." Jack looked down at the infant, a fragile life trembling in his arms. He saw innocence, helplessness, and the promise of a future worth fighting for. A tight knot of resolve formed in his chest. The crowd could scowl, threaten, or whisper. He wasn't letting this child die. "Back off!" he bellowed, voice carrying over the street. "She's under my protection now." Murmurs rose into shouts, but Jack's gaze didn't waver from the infant. The mother sank to her knees, relief and terror mingling on her face. Thank you, sir," she whispered, too drained to speak further. "If you want to see how Jack faces the wrath of the whole town to protect this baby, hit like and subscribe. This story takes a turn you won't forget." By sunset, word had spread through Red Creek like wildfire. A crowd had gathered, armed with suspicion, prejudice, and misplaced bravado. Jack stood at the center of the street, baby cradled against his chest, the mother behind him, fragile yet clinging to hope. "Jack!" The sheriff barked, stepping forward, hand resting on the hilt of his revolver.
"This child, you can't just take her."
Jack's jaw tightened. "I can, and I will. She's innocent. She's not guilty of anyone's sins." The crowd hissed, spat, and shouted, but Jack held his ground. Each murmur of doubt only strengthened his resolve. He had faced cattle rustlers, storms, and harsh winters. Nothing had tested him like this moment of moral courage. The mother whispered, "Please, as she deserves life, she deserves safety." Her voice shook, but the truth in it cut through the tension like a blade. Jack lifted the baby higher, holding her in plain sight for all to see. "Look at her," he shouted. "This child is life, hope, and innocence. You want to stand against that?" A hush fell over the crowd, some lowering their weapons, others staring at the tiny bundle in Jack's arms. For a fleeting moment, the town saw not an outlaw's child, not a scandal, but a life that deserved protection. Hours passed as Jack maintained his vigil, moving slowly down the street, baby secure in his arms, daring anyone to challenge him. The mother followed silently, tears streaming freely, heart pounding with fear and gratitude. The night fell, casting long shadows across Red Creek. Some townsfolk whispered behind closed doors, plotting to reclaim the child. A few even tried to confront Jack near the edge of town, but he was ready, calm and steady, as if every hardship in his life had led to this single, crucial moment. He looked down at the infant, tiny fingers curling around his thumb, and felt something he had never felt before, an unshakable duty. This was no longer about fear, anger, or reputation. It was about life itself. The sheriff returned, tired but resolute. "Jack, if you go through with this, you'll be facing more than just me," he warned, his tone heavy with moral weight rather than malice. Jack's gaze met his, steady. "Then let them come. This child stays. Nothing will change that." The wind carried whispers of admiration from those who had witnessed his courage, alongside curses from those clinging to old grudges. Jack's arms never wavered. The infant's coos punctuated the tense night. As dawn broke over Red Creek, the dust and tension began to settle. Jack had faced threats, accusations, and hostility, yet the baby slept peacefully in his arms, safe for now. The townsfolk, witnessing the unwavering courage of the rancher, began to soften, some nodding with respect, others quietly retreating. The mother stepped forward, kneeling beside Jack. "You've given her life and hope," she whispered, voice trembling. "I'll never forget this." Jack smiled faintly, tired but resolute. "She's a life worth protecting. Always." The sun cast a golden glow over the town, illuminating the tiny figure in his arms. A life saved, a promise kept, and a future waiting to be written. The town, once skeptical and harsh, now watched quietly, understanding that courage sometimes required facing the whole world alone. If you were moved by Jack's bravery and the hope of new beginnings, hit like and subscribe. More cinematic Wild West stories are riding your way soon.